Never waste valuable time or mental peace of mind in other people's affairs. That is a very high price to pay. Robert Greene. I'm Alderick, and I've seen what happens when you hesitate to strike. The line between mercy and weakness blurs, and once it does, no one fears you anymore. Today, I bring you a summary of the book, The 48 Laws of Power, focused on the theme of why mercy weakens authority. Mercy feels noble, but in the theater of power, it is read as doubt, as softness, as lack of will. When you spare someone who challenged you, you're not earning loyalty, you're planting rebellion. Robert Greene names it without hesitation, crush your enemy totally. That is Law 15, because power does not tolerate ambiguity. It feeds on fear, on finality, on the absence of loopholes. Kindness, when misread, invites betrayal. And those who try to rule with forgiveness often end up begging for respect. Mercy may heal in private life, but in power, it stains the throne. Mercy never enters the room alone. It brings hesitation, and hesitation smells like blood. We think compassion softens the edges of conflict, but in the world of power, it exposes the neck. You show grace once, and they start planning your fall, not because they're evil, but because your mercy showed you bleed. Greene doesn't flinch. In Law 15, he writes, crush your enemy totally, not to be cruel, but because unfinished defeats always return as future threats. It's not about being feared. It's about not inviting vengeance with your kindness. So the question isn't moral, it's existential. How many times can you forgive before they forget you're in command? Imagine someone who forgives a betrayal, not because they're weak, but because they want to believe in redemption. They speak calmly, offer a second chance, and wait for change. But behind the curtain, the traitor is learning one thing: this ruler doesn't punish. Greene warns us in Law 15, crush your enemy totally. Not partially, not symbolically, totally. Because an enemy left alive is an enemy with memory, and memory breeds revenge. In Law 1, he goes further, never outshine the master. But if the master hesitates, if he spares those who dared to outshine, he becomes the outshined. Power, once questioned, is already fractured. Mercy, in this world, is not virtue. It's a miscalculation. In Law 3, Greene says, conceal your intentions. But mercy reveals too much. It shows your attachment, your fear of conflict, your internal division. The predator sees it and moves. Now the ruler walks his own palace like a guest. Every smile hides a test. Every silence feels like warning. His authority, once solid, now wobbles like a stage prop. Beautiful, but hollow. Forgiveness is not forbidden, but in power, it must be a performance, not a confession. And if you've felt that stage shake beneath you, if you've ever wondered whether silence meant survival or setup, you've already lived this law. If something in you tightened, if this scratched a memory you didn't know was still open, press like button and subscribe. Sometimes the fear of seeming weak becomes the most fragile thing we carry. Greene tells us in Law 15, crush your enemy totally. But what happens when the enemy is someone you once loved? A friend turned threat, a protege gone rogue. Do you crush them? Or do you remember who they were, just a heartbeat ago? The law demands finality, but power is not always clean. And some betrayals are not acts of war. They're cries for closeness twisted by time. You can follow the law. You can erase them. But at night, when silence returns, will you count your victories or the absences? There's a crack the book doesn't name. Not in strategy, in soul. What if mercy isn't weakness? but a refusal to become what they made you fight. You can forgive someone, but the fear that they'll strike again never truly leaves the room. Mercy lingers, like a door left half open, and power doesn't tolerate open doors. Greene says, crush your enemy totally. But totality is a violent thing, and those who live by it carry more than victory. They carry silence too. There's a kind of ruler who wins every war, and still flinches at memories that cannot be erased. The throne stands, but beneath it, ashes that no longer answer for whom they burned. The book doesn't lie, but it doesn't mourn either. And maybe that's the real price. If something stayed with you, write it down. Let it out. Even a whisper can echo when the room is this quiet.